Meet Cord Martin. In today's episode, we talk all about his creative process as a saxophonist, as well as a middle school band director. I even get to test his new cologne. So don't forget to subscribe and stick around for this episode of Convos with Aaron. So what's up, guys? Today we have Cord Martin. He released his brand new project back in January, Chord Progressions. You should take a listen to it after the podcast so you can kind of follow up the interview. But Mr. Cord, thank you for joining us today on Convos with Aaron.
Man, thank you so much for having me, Aaron. You know, it's a full circle moment to be able to have a former student interviewing me. So I appreciate you for coming.
Of course, and just for reference, you were one of my band directors back in middle school. So when I first started. And this is just one of my questions too, because I wondered this in middle school. I was thinking, when you have all these beginning students, how can you handle oftentimes the chaos of the noise? And how does that work?
A lot of patience, a lot of prayer, a lot of meditation. Yeah. But no, I love what I do. And there's something about having that light bulb go off. So I'm super passionate about teaching, especially at the middle school age, getting students started like yourself. And so I've been doing it going into my 14th, or just finished my 14th year, going into my 15th year. And the noise, you kind of get used to it. And that noise that starts in those first initial sounds, one of the beautiful parts about it is, going from noise to music. Yeah. And so taking those students through that transformation from 6th grade, not knowing how to make a sound, how to hold it, showing them how to do that. And then by the time they get to 8th grade, the amount of growth that they're able to have is amazing. So
for me to experience that and to see the passion and patience that you talk about, I can attest to that firsthand. I mean, the amount of patience that you have to have with that age. I think that's demeaning them, though, when I say that. But I think they have a lot of potential. And I know at that age, I was trying to figure things out and laying that foundation for those kids. Who helped lay that foundation for you?
Goodness. So I would absolutely have to start with my grandmother. She played piano. That was my first introduction to music. I have pictures of me in a diaper, sitting in her lap as she played and me banging on the keys. So she started me off, and then growing up in church, Mr. Norman Dawson, I kind of had an apprenticeship with him. So he was the guy that played piano at my church. And so I was able to learn from him. So I started off, just playing by ear. 3rd grade, started taking piano lessons. And so that was the start for it. And I would say those two people were a big inspiration and reason for what I do. Yeah. Wow. And then got to middle school, joined the band, started playing saxophone, and that's when it all kind of took off from there. Got into jazz music, and saxophone became that passion. I've always played piano. I still play. I still use it to compose. I still play at church. But, that's where I kind of found like, okay, this is what I want to focus on.
Yeah. When you think of your career, what was the highlight for you?
My career is, I have things that have happened as an educator, and I've had things that have happened as a performer. As far as my top musical moment that I look back on and say, hey, this is a highlight, I would say is, performing with Aretha Franklin in front of a sold out show, sold out crowd at the Nashville Symphony
her music is so inspiring for so many musicians. And even though I wouldn't consider myself a musician today, even her music and a lot of music that has to deal with soul is unlike anything I think I've ever heard before. And I think that translates throughout jazz too. I mean, I love jazz. I think a lot of people, I don't know, like jazz is kind of seen as a lot of people think it's taken a back seat, but I think it really is the foundation of a lot of our music today.
It's had like you said, it's had a big influence on just about any genre that has come after jazz. From the beginning of the 20th century, 1900s, jazz hitting the scene big in the jazz age, 1920s-ish, and that time to now, every style of music since then has been influenced from that. So you think of even R&B, hip hop. I think of even some of the musicians that I know that are in the Nashville area that are my colleagues and friends. They study jazz. They may be on the road with a country act, but if you were to ask them what their background is, at some point they've had some understanding of jazz, jazz chord progressions, improvisation. It's just one of those skills that carries over and just makes you a better musician, period. So yeah, jazz is a big part of what I do. It's a huge part of my philosophy. So even with my students, I try to make sure we have a well-rounded approach to learning their instruments. So not just concert band. Yes, concert band is the main nucleus, but I want to make sure that students are exposed to jazz because of its influence and how it enhances their overall musicianship.
What would you say too are some musicians kind of pushing the jazz culture forward today?
At the top of my head, I think Robert Glasper is doing a phenomenal job of pushing that forward. I listen to people like Chad Lefkowitz Brown. He's an awesome saxophonist. Myself, I try to be as true to myself and the experiences that I've had in life. So the music that I make is a reflection of my life. So for example, like I gave you the CD Chord Progressions. That's my first debut album, and that some of that stuff was actually, with you being an Middle Tennessee alum, like some of that music has been with me since my MTSU days. Things that were melodies that I wrote back then. But I had to live some life. I had to go through some things to get to the point of putting it out. But yeah, I try to be an artist that is moving the music forward and making sure that jazz is still relevant today. And a lot of that has to do with, I feel like improvisation is the biggest part of jazz that makes jazz unique. And so you can improvise over anything. And it's one of the truest, freest forms of expression.
That's a great point. And I think I remember too, sixth grade jazz band. You guys did the Jazz Fest in Columbia. And I remember getting my first chance to, so as a voice crack, that was funny. I remember getting a chance to play and improv for the first time on a stage. We did it in practice and everything like that. But just being able to improv on there and getting your time to kind of see what you want to do, I think that right there is actually probably my favorite memory of band that I can think of. I quit band freshman year because I didn't like marching band, but I keep coming back to some of the memories that I had that I thought were fantastic, and it was a lot of jazz related music too. That jazz fest, that I will always remember that. That was such an interesting, kind of unique moment that I never had felt before, and so I'm appreciative of you for that.
Well, I appreciate it. And as you're talking about that, Aaron, I'm thinking of like middle school Aaron in the trumpet section. Like I can visualize like where you would sit right over to the left of the podium. But I can when I was listening to you talk about your experiences talking about soloing, it really makes me think about, and I talk about this all the time with students and when I talk to parents about their child joining band, students learn way more than just how to play their instrument.
Yeah.
Okay. And so you learn life skills, important life skills that will carry you throughout your life. And so right now, this interview that we're having right now, you being able to learn how to perform on a stage and to take a solo like you did, I think I'm able to see that even though you're not playing your horn, you're learning how to communicate. Not learning, but you are a wonderful communicator now.
Appreciate that.
In what you do, and the skills that you learn with interviewing, listening, call and response, the things that you do as in jazz, you got to listen and interact. You're doing that right now as an interviewer while you're not still playing your trumpet. Some of those skills that I feel like you were able to feel comfortable on a big stage, things like that, are empowering you to do the things that you do now even. So
Absolutely. And I'll say this, if I didn't have band, I probably wouldn't have the motivation to do broadcasting. And that's a good point, what you brought up. I think people get so caught up in certain structures, and I think in order for kids to grow, they have to try different things. And I don't think it's fair to them for them not to explore all these different programs if their school allows it, if their school has different programs. I think that's very beneficial. And I've talked about it. Yeah, and I've talked about a bunch on this show about what new age education looks like. Not in the sense of a political thing. I don't care about that.
Sure.
I think in terms of structure, and I think in terms of opportunity, I think we're learning more and more that traditional education is not necessarily, providing any large benefit right now. What is providing those shop classes for those students in high school or even middle school, providing broadcasting, band, music, art, all this stuff. There's a wide range, and kids get so much more out of that a lot of times than just algebra, even though it's important for them to know those basics.
Absolutely.
What do you think about providing opportunities for kids? I'm sure you have a very positive outlook on it.
Of course, you got to have the core curriculum, but it is integral. It's important for students to be able to express themselves other ways. Fine arts, like you said, whether it be broadcasting, mass communications. Communication is such a powerful tool. Like, everybody needs to know how to communicate. Whether it be needing to negotiate or to be able to advocate, to whether it be the written word or spoken word. Communication is such a powerful tool. We have to be able to do that, how to think for ourselves, all of that. But then also, like you said, like the trade school things, that's something that is coming up more. And honestly, the way our world is going, I feel like it's important that we have people that know how to do those trades within our country. So we're not having to outsource everything. So yeah, it's important for us to have students and prepare our students from an educational standpoint. We want to prepare them for life.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of discussion about this country with education and the state of it. And I try not to necessarily get political, and I consider myself very moderate and like to be able to just listen to other people and their perspectives on it. But I think something that I think everybody can agree with on a fundamental level is there's the most beautiful thing about this country is, like you said, our communication, our freedom to communicate. And I think that's something that we really need to be able to harp on our kids.
Yeah.
I think is, listen, you have this rare opportunity that not a lot of people on this earth have of being able to speak your mind, be able to share your opinion, whether people agree with it or not.
Right.
And I think that's a good point too that you brought up about just teaching kids how to communicate, whether through, music, written word, anything. I think that's probably the most fundamental thing that we need to teach our kids, other than those basics and
communicate.
Yeah.
Communicate, and then on the other side to critically think.
Yes. Absolutely.
So yeah, I'm with you. And I'm not, obviously I'm an educator.
Yeah.
I advocate for public education.
Yeah.
And making sure that all people have an equal opportunity an equal opportunity and access to education to better themselves and their family. But yeah, I'm right with you.
And I wanted to ask you, talking about, trying to figure out, especially in public education, trying to figure out an equal playing field. I don't think of a thing that's more important than something like band, for example, when it comes to being able to afford an instrument. How do you, I'm sure it's hard. How do you deal with and figure out situations of parents who aren't able to afford the musical equipment? What does that conversation look like?
We try our best to make sure that money is not an obstacle for our students. Whether that means we do some outreach and reach out to a church or reach out to, there's been people that donate. Just about every year we have people donating instruments. And then we've been blessed, and I hope that will continue, but we have been blessed to have funds allotted to us from the county to be able to refurbish and to just maintain our instruments. And so we try to make sure that that's not an obstacle. Because I think about my parents, the sacrifice that they made for me to get my first instrument. I can remember going to Hughley's and then looking at saxophones and be like, okay, how much is that? Oh, but that sacrifice, I look back at it now, just think of it as an investment. You're investing in your child. And so, yeah, I'm trying to think of, I don't think there's been any, in my 15 years, I can't remember one student that we have had to turn away because of that. We make a way.
It's a blessing.
Yeah, it is a blessing. It can be a game changer for a child, and for them to have that positive structure, them being able to be around a diverse student body with their peers and working towards a common goal. It's powerful.
The benefit of public education, especially, at least here, is being able to have all these unique interactions with people of completely different lives. And band is a good example of that too. You have such a wide range of diversity in there, and it's not to meet a quota at all.
No.
It's just cool to kind of talk with people that are different than you. And that's why I also am an advocate of public education.
People that are different than you, But when you get down to the
core,
to the core, to the who we are as humans, you know, you realize that we have a lot more in common than we have, you know, on the surface level of you know, skin or even economic. You know, and so music to me, it is a good mirror for that, you know, because if you hear good music and it moves you, you know, that it connects to the soul. And so we try, as that's one of my goals as a educator, is to try to connect souls one note at a time. You know, from what we do, that's kind of like my tagline: connecting souls one note at a time. But I truly believe in the power of music and what it can do for not only those that are practitioners, those that play, but also those that listen.
Absolutely.
You know, so.
And talking about, you know, the soul, what does faith mean to you, you know, from a music perspective and a personal perspective, since it connects so much to your music?
Soul, faith my faith is at the core of everything I do. I want to be a vessel. I don't have to necessarily get up and quote scriptures when I am in my classroom and when I'm on stage, but I hope that the way that I treat my students, the way that I treat my audience, the way that I treat my community is in a way that uplifts and turns back to me being a reflection of him. And my relationship with God. So yeah, I try to let that be the governing, the shining light, the governing body of everything that I do.
You know, when you're in a public school education system, you have to like have that attitude. All right, how can I be Christ-like without, you know, without saying it? It's a difficult situation. I'm sure you struggle with that sometimes. But also I wanted to transition into something that I find interesting, and, you know, talking about faith and talking about what the future looks like. What would you say is your aspirations right now in life? What is a goal that you have for yourself?
I want to fulfill my purpose, whatever that is. You know, it's like, hey, send me, I'll go. You know, I feel like there's for so long, you know, you think about like the parable of the people with the talents, the three people that had the talents, and one buried them. You know, the other two did what they were supposed to do with it. For so long, I felt like the one that buried their talents. And so I feel like I'm in a season where I'm like, I don't want, when it's time for me to leave Earth, you know, I take my last breath, I want to make sure that I have given it all. Everything that I have as a teacher, everything that I have as a husband, as a father, to my community, those things. So, you know, right now I'm in a phase where I feel good. I'm mid-career, you know, 15 out of, you know, 30, whatever people, I think I'll always teach in some fashion, but, you know, I'm at that middle of the career. And so that's something I feel good about. I'm excited about going into next year. I'm aspiring to, you know, just build the brand and even rebrand the Whitthorne Band. So from a music education standpoint, I would like to come up with some on the side, maybe some other educational things, whether it be some online courses. So that's something that I aspire to do.
Yeah.
Musically, I just came out with the one album, but I'm working on some new things. I just this summer released a song called Nija Glow. So I want to continue to step into that as an artist too. And I feel like God has given me so many things that I've been holding on to.
Yeah.
And it's time. I'm in a season of, okay, let me present it. And as he continues to give me ideas, I just want to not procrastinate.
Yeah.
Life's too short.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because the art that he gives, one of the first commandments he says is for us to be fruitful and multiply. That has to do with creation.
That's a good point. Yeah.
And so we should put out what we create. Just and you're doing, like, you inspire me.
I appreciate it. Well,
I mean, as conversations with Aaron, you are hitting the ground hard, going to different places to create content that you're not holding on to. You're putting it back out there for somebody to hopefully look back at this and be inspired. And so that's what I want to do.
That's beautiful. I really appreciate that. And I think it kind of connects to what you were talking about too, about how some of these songs on this album, you've been holding on to essentially, and you've been playing since college.
Yeah.
I can relate to that because I'm also a writer. And I like to write screenplays, and I'm also trying to get into novels too. But that being said, I think for me, I hold on to, I wait, I kind of put some of my scripts on the back burner because I feel like I do need to live more life, like you were saying. And I think it's more apparent, talking about communication too, and the dialogue. You get into the dialogue, I can write pretty good dialogue for a younger person. That's what a lot of my stories are about. But when it comes to an older person, it's hard for me sometimes because I have to think, I have to put myself in the shoes of somebody who's lived more life than me, which is almost impossible. But I appreciate you reflecting on it like that.
But it's important for people to there's an audience for what you have.
Yeah.
And there was what made me put that out was listen to a pastor, and he was saying, all you have is all you need. Sometimes you think let me wait until I do this. Let me wait until I have this experience. Let me wait until no, what God has given you is enough.
Yeah.
You are enough. So those things that are catered to a younger audience, that's an experience that you had that was real for you, and that's going to resonate to somebody. Just like some of those experiences I've had that are on that record, that's going to resonate to maybe not everybody, but to somebody. And if it resonates to one, my job is done. So yeah. Now, one of the things I think about, because I can, as a creative, sometimes we can be all over the place. So I have tons of different ideas. That's where that faith comes in, and say, okay, God, what do I need to do right now? Okay. And sometimes you may have so many things like, oh, this direction. Okay. You may have to have a season of focus in one direction to get that off. Yeah. And because of your obedience, then God's like, okay, I can trust you with that. Okay, well, here's this. Now go this way. So having that, seek ye first. Seek ye first the kingdom. Like, even if you're doing that, then the next step is gonna unleash, it's gonna come where it needs to go. Yeah. So that's kind of where I am on that.
Yeah. Well, you answered my question, essentially, my next question, which was, what made you decide to make this album?
Okay.
And you said it was that pastor who kind of...
It was a pastor, that said, all you have is all you need. But then on a more, sometimes we can be a little silly with it and you got to make it plain. Sometimes I'm like, God, okay, make it plain. And it's like, okay. So I had one of my students, actually, I believe it was Sydney. Do you remember Sydney McPherson? Is it Sydney McPherson? Sydney.
I don't remember. I don't know.
Okay. Sydney, she came out with an album. She was working. I just happened to be going over to Red 7. She was like, hey, I just came out with an EP. This is one of my former students. I mean, she's maybe a little bit older, maybe a few years older than you. Okay. But I was like, wow, here's one of my students putting out, she's doing her thing. Like, and I got these songs from high school. I mean, not high school, but from college. They're just sitting there. I was like, Sydney, I'm so proud of you. You've inspired me. I was like, I gotta get on my game. You know, it's time. And so that kind of started some of that. And then just seeing some of my students go after it. Like, just like, hey, it's my time. I've done a lot of giving back through education and pouring my heart, pouring my love for my passion for music into others. Let me do this. For me, and let me find myself through the creation process.
For sure.
And so that song, or the album, Chord Progressions, that literally it tracks my progression from, over the past 10, 15 years of life.
Well, it's beautiful too to after listening to it, to learn the context of it. You can kind of tell, it's cool too because it does have a story to it.
It does. I mean, that first song, Time Brings About Change, and as I was finishing that song, I was going through a lot of change, and so that song has a lot of change, like literal time signature changes in the song. The feel of the song changes throughout, and that's supposed to kind of mimic the changes that I was going through.
It's cool.
A love no more, a love hope for. I mean, every song has a reason, has a backstory. Urban Renaissance. I'm just thinking about the urban renewal, the Renaissance that's happening in Columbia. I was sitting down at Nashville Tea Company when I wrote that song, Urban Renaissance, and just reflecting on some of the things that I was seeing going on in the community, and then also the Renaissance that was happening internally with me. And so that's what art is supposed to be. It's supposed to be a reflection of your life experiences and culture. So,
well, I think music is probably the most closest depiction, other than maybe a biographical novel, of somebody's life. I think, it is very reflective. That's a good point. And sometimes we forget about that. I think, and I don't really like to criticize like mainstream music directly, but I think a lot of times what makes it not as connective is that it is a missing piece. It's talking about like in the club or whatever, like, but what is that really? Is that really a reflection of who you are as a person? I don't think so. And I think that brings up a good point too. I think jazz is very reflective on that.
It is.
It's reflective on history and people's experience, the good and bad. And I barely know anything about it too. I'm gonna be honest. But
if you were to go back and dig into the liner notes of some of the songs that you listen to, like an album like John Coltrane's Love Supreme, which was came out in the 60s, I believe, right around civil rights and all kinds of stuff going on. So when you understand the context in which things are composed, you start to realize it made me appreciate history more. I always loved music, but it wasn't really until I got in college and had a music history course and seeing, oh, this is what was happening in the world. These were current events, and this is the art that came out of that.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, you can hear what was going on.
Yeah.
So yeah, I try to make that connection when I'm able to in the classroom, those real life connections. Sure.
I took an African American 2. It was African American 2 at MTSU, and
was it Dr. Bakari?
No, it's Dr. Alexander.
Okay,
that was his name. I think he's still there, I think.
Yeah.
But he really brought a lot of music into the class, and that's what I loved about it. And then I also took a music history class too after that, and both of them were gen eds. But I don't understand why we don't do that enough in our history classes too. I feel like so much of, like we were talking about, so much of music is connected to history, and it also just makes it more engaging. It makes me be able to learn more because there's not much more we connect with than music.
Absolutely.
I think from a like a chemical level, I don't know much about that, but
we
connect.
It's a universal language. It is the universal language, and so yeah, it is a depiction of the culture and the society that we live in. And so oftentimes people put those feelings, those things in song because it connects more. Yeah. Whether it be songs with lyrics or instrumental compositions, still, it still speaks. So
yeah, well, and also you mentioned Miles Davis, and I actually really enjoy Miles Davis. I have a couple of his albums on my Apple Music, and then also one that I just love and I keep coming back to, and I've been exploring some of his music now, is Marvin Gaye. Marvin Gaye, and specifically like What's Going On, that album. Oh my gosh, like it is fantastic, and it's a depiction, I think, of the times back then too.
Times back then and times
now,
right now. What's Going On, I actually played that on July 4th.
Really?
Because what's going on? Like, really, what is going on? There's some of the same things that he was talking about in that song.
Yeah.
We're dealing with in our current society.
Absolutely.
And so I did a show at the Mule House.
Yeah. That's what I was going to ask you about too. Yeah.
And I'll be honest. I mean, I called it Stars, Stripes, and Sax.
Yeah.
I didn't really play, the typical patriotic, My Country 'Tis of Thee and America the Beautiful. I just feel like right now with a lot of things that are going on, I wanted to be something that connected in a different way, and to think about it. I even was talking about, July 4th, 1776. For our country, symbolizes independence.
Yeah.
But July 4th, 1776, when I think of my heritage, my ancestry, in America, we were far from independent and free.
Yeah.
And so, I ended up playing. I talked a little bit about that without getting too deep.
Yeah.
But I did. I decided to play "Lift Every Voice and Sing," which is the Negro national anthem, and so, or the Black national anthem, and so, I felt like that was a important part of the program.
Yeah.
In that night, I didn't have anybody else play with me. I just played my sax, and played that. But music is powerful.
Yeah,
it is, and I'm so grateful, thankful that God has given me the gifts that He has.
Yeah. So I think the solution to everything, and you can check me on this, is to listen. And we don't do that enough. I will, I personally will take the blame for some of that too. I don't listen enough too. And
listening is so important, and communicating, listening to people that may not necessarily think like you do.
Yeah.
Stepping outside of your philosophy.
Yeah.
To try to embrace what other people think, and without a judgmental, like let's or a judgmental ear. Let's listen and try to find the common ground.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I think when you listen to, you realize, and you mentioned this too, talking about the diversity in terms of just different people in band too, like we talked about. I think you recognize there is so much in common with the human experience.
Mm-hmm.
I think we all go through grief. We all go through love, loss, struggles.
Mm-hmm.
I think faith and what that looks like for different people.
Mm-hmm.
And I think when you take a step back and you strip your ideologies, I think without sacrificing them.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you strip them in the sense that you're willing to listen. That's the thing I've learned already. I've interviewed people who have completely different political views,
Mm-hmm.
And that's important for me. I think if I want to build a platform, I want to have all sorts of people talk about all sorts of things.
Yeah.
And I appreciate too you being able to have a small piece in that, because I've appreciated our conversation today, and I wish I was able to go into more jazz and have more jazz knowledge, but I appreciate you kind of guiding me through that a little bit too.
Man,
and
good.
But that being said, and I kind of I want to ask you one more future question.
Sure.
This is a fantastic album from what I listened, especially this morning. I got to really I listened a little bit, but I got to listen through it this morning.
Yeah.
What's next?
What is next? I have several songs that are in draft form.
Yeah.
So whenever God says, "Hey, what's next?" I'm gonna continue to bring out more music. I want to create and curate more events.
Oh, that's cool.
That are around music and what I do, but also to bring some highlights to some of the instrumental people in our area.
Yeah.
And so I just want to use my platform, whether it be putting out more music or even doing some interviews like this with some people that have influenced me musically. So I would like to dive into that. I just kind of started to dibble and dabble in.
I was about to talk about that too. Yeah.
In making a fragrance. So I made my first fragrance. And so I'm just like, I don't want to leave any stone unturned. Is that what you say?
I guess, yeah.
I don't know, but I just want to make sure that I'm giving it my all, and when it's time for me to leave, that I have left hopefully left a legacy that is something that God would be pleased with, and that it can touch some lives with the gifts that He's given me.
And talking specifically about your cologne, where did that idea even come from? Was it just one day?
2021, I got really into fragrances. My brother had a couple of really nice smelling fragrances, and so I inquired on that. I was like, man, they smell good, man. What you got on? And so he told me, a couple of these fragrances, and then I just kind of went on a deep dive of fragrance reviews, and like, oh, okay, there's different styles, there's different, you got your fresh scents, you got your, different weather type scents, different occasion, all the different things. And then my collection started to grow. Yeah. And it's just crazy. Like, I kind of had some ideas of things that I would like to do. And I just kind of threw it on a list of, in my journaling and writing things down. Yeah, I'd like to create a fragrance one day,
Cool.
I looked into some other Black-owned fragrance people, perfumers and things like that. I was like, I have no idea, nor do I have the money to do this. I just like, whatever. Well, I saw an ad on like Instagram or Facebook with fragrance labs in the Nashville area, and it was called the Fragrance Lab of Nashville.
Wow.
They had like a deal where you could go in for an hour, in a package where it's called a fragrance mingle. And so you go, great experience, great customer service. I walked in, they let you smell all kinds of different fragrances, and then you were able to make your own blend.
Oh, wow, that's cool.
Yeah. And then so I made, this unique blend, and both the owner and her son was like, yeah, that smells pretty good, and I was like, well, what can I do if I wanted to produce more of these, not just the one from today? Can we talk about, working that out? And we had a conversation, made sure everything was good. I researched some bottles, found a bottle that I liked, that I felt was, classy and on brand. I came up with the label, all that. I did the label with Adobe Express, and, looked into how much it would, what would be the best labels, all that. Just did all the research over the matter of 3 weeks. Like, I think the first week I did it was June, it was the week of Juneteenth.
Wow. Is
when I went in, did it, and then we've been hitting it, so cool. I just did like a small batch of 50. And we'll see how it's been very well received. We'll see how it goes as far as whether I'll do a second batch, but I think I will. That's and cool. I may just come up with a different flanker from this, but you can check it out, see what you think.
Oh, like right now?
Yeah.
Because I already okay.
Now you're gonna have to edit it if
I don't like it.
If you don't like it, don't be like, oh, this is.
Do I just like where I spray? Just
where you can do it on your you can do it there. Let it sit for a minute.
Sorry, I'm new. I gotta.
Yeah.
What do you wave your hand or something? What do
you can just or just kind of just let it dry down for a minute. Yeah.
I like it. Smells good. I like it.
Yeah, it's different. It's one of those things that when you think of like Eros, which that's kind of they call that like a club scent.
Yeah,
it's something you go to the club. It's gonna have a huge sillage, but that's something I think is good for date night. I think as you get right now, it's kind of hot, so it would kind of project off your skin quite a bit in the high heat, like during the day. But evening, and especially when it starts to cool down, I think that's a really nice, classy fragrance.
Yeah.
It'll stick with you. It's got some sweet, fruity
yeah.
on the opening, which you're probably smelling,
yeah.
and then it dries down with a little bit of leather, and the final dry down is like a amber musk type vibe.
I really enjoy it too, and I'm not just saying that because I'm interviewing you right now. I enjoy it. I'm not surprised because I know you have good taste, and I appreciate too. It says on the thing, it says smooth, soulful, and signature. That's nice.
Saxon soul.
Saxon soul. So do you have? So right now it's just local.
And I actually have a link that I can send you.
Okay.
That will, for anybody that is interested, because pretty much the first batch is pretty much claimed at this point.
Okay.
But for the second batch, I can send you a link to where people can sign up.
Beautiful. We'll have it in the description.
Awesome.
Yeah. And you gonna do anything else like maybe oboe and soul? I don't know if that really goes with. So that was a horrible joke that I.
That is funny. I'm just thinking of the timbre of the oboe, oboe and soul.
Yeah.
That would be funny. But what I do plan on, maybe doing some flankers with that Saxon soul.
Yeah.
Night vibes.
Ooh,
nice. Saxon soul. For different occasions.
Yeah.
Kind of like a flanker for each. So we'll see.
That's cool, and like I said, it smells good, and I don't really love like super strong scents, like super, and I don't think that's necessarily strong, but it smells like it'll last, and it smells like it like you were talking about, has different levels. I can imagine of
as it develops. Yeah.
And this is what I wanted to say, and I wanted to end with this. Following you through social media, and kind of witnessing you, when I went through middle school. The one thing that I had admired about you the most is your ability to come up with ideas and completion. And this is completion. This is completion. Having your show, and regular shows too, right? That's completion, and I think that's what I admire, and I sometimes I want to be like a lot of times, is to have an idea and then see it through. Like, I remember you talked about sometimes you just have to focus on one thing. How do you do that? Do you just, like you said, you just focus?
Man, it is it's a process.
Yeah.
Man, you gotta take an account, man. On today, I'm 38 years old.
Wow. Oh, it's your birthday today?
No.
I was about to say.
No.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not. Today's not my birthday.
Okay.
But I'm 38 years old.
Yeah.
How old are you, Aaron?
I'm 22.
22-year-old me was not executing. I was not. It took me. I had to go through some life to get to the point to where it's like, you know what, life is too short.
Yeah.
To hold on to things that God has given me. So life taught me to execute more. Experiences. I also have done a lot of, I'm big into personal development.
Yeah.
So I've gotten a lot of that in my system over the years, especially after college. College taught me to do my research. It taught me to think critically. If there's one, yes, it taught me how to play my instrument, all that. But out of everything, it taught me how to think critically. It taught me how to research. And if you know how to do those things, you can do whatever you want to do.
That's true.
And so I started going on, YouTube University, and trying to better myself. And in that, I realized, some of those cracks, some of those voids that needed to be, taken care of. But that therapy, and mentorship, reaching out to people that can be mentors and coaches for me to be able to say, hey, I'm all over the place. How can I have some focus? And then, okay, well, yeah, let me get these goals. So in the past 2-3 years, I've had, I've done therapy, which is very, it allows you to have another perspective of unbiased approach to okay, what am I doing? To criticize and to critique what you're doing so you can get better. And so I've done that. So I feel like that's a big part of it. Mentorship, like I said, not being afraid to look at people that have been where you are and to ask questions. And don't be afraid to do it. And then after that, you got to get out of your own way. You have to get out of your own way. And I have, like you said, you're saying this is completion. Man, I'm 38 years old. That should have been out. That should have been out when I was 22. Like some of those songs were with me at 22. I just wasn't in a mindset, and I wasn't in a space to it wasn't the season. I can tell right now that wasn't the season that God was supposed to that I was supposed to let that out. But seek ye first. And then get out of your own way. And don't overthink it. There's something that they call paralysis by analysis. And I'm an analytical. I will analyze things to death. Oh, well, what about this? What if it did this? What? And then you can get so into the what ifs that it never gets done. So I've just tried. Now that I'm aware of those things, write it down, make it plain, and let's go. Run the play. Get it. Run the play. Let's get it. That's what it's about, because we're supposed to create as God-fearing children of the Most High. He's given it to us. not only for us to hold it in, he's giving it to us to give it back.
Man, that's, you hit it right there. That's yeah, it's perfect. And I appreciate your answer to that. Nice and thorough and honest too. And thank you again for coming on. I appreciate it.
I appreciate this opportunity, man. I really do. I wish you much success in what you do.
Thank you.
Wherever this takes you, just continue to ask for guidance, and ask them to direct your path, man. You're gonna be just fine. But I'm proud of you. Love to see what you're doing from middle school. This is the first time I've seen you in years.
Yeah.
Your voice has changed. You done got taller. You're taller than me.
I stopped growing in 8th grade though, so I think that's a.
But man, I'm proud of you. Keep doing your thing, Aaron, and I wish you the best. Thank you for having me.
Of course, and I appreciate the opportunity you've given me to interview you and to deep dive into what you've been working on, and it's really cool to see. And that being said, it's a great segue to mention once again, you can listen to Chords Progression on streaming services, or you can order it too. Can you order it?
You would need to get it in person. So if you want, to reach out to me on Chord Martin Music. So chordmartinmusic.com. That would be the best place to reach out. And if you want a signed CD, we can work that out. I would love to connect with you, and that way you can stay in the loop with when I'm putting out new music or new fragrances or any performances that I have. So
we'll have all that linked in the description, including your socials and everything. So if you want to follow Chord or just you're interested in his music, just go down the description down below and enjoy what he has to offer. And that being said, I appreciate the ad that I put up there. So I put up an ad on YouTube, and we've gained like 100 subscribers in a week, which is pretty incredible. And so thank you to all of you new viewers for tuning in. I hope you've enjoyed it. And I would like for the viewers that are not subscribed to subscribe. So you can subscribe, click that bell to just, get notified whenever we drop an episode, usually Fridays. And yeah, just thank you. And also, I forgot one thing. You could be a guest too if you want to, or you know somebody who would be great as a guest or wants to be a guest at convoswithaaron@gmail.com. And we will get back to you on scheduling. And as always, I go to the guest, and it creates such a unique vibe to it. So thank you and goodbye.
Thank you.